Good afternoon. Today is Tuesday, May 5, and we are now on the fifth skill that we're going to be covering for the second test. So on Friday, I will be looking at progress and averaging up the scores for those people who have submitted this material and would like to get a test grade. Now remember, if you just totally blew it and didn't get this done on time, you can still turn it in late, but it must be turned in no later than the 18th. That's it. So that's today's the 5th, so about 13 days, almost 2 weeks away. But I think you've got plenty of time to finish this. Also, if you do not get a score on any of these skills that you like, remember that you can shut it down, walk away, come back at some other time, open it up again, and continue on. And that's what you want to do. So don't give up on this stuff. And also remember that if you're behind and your score as averaged up at any given moment is less than what your score was at the end of third quarter. At the very end of the second semester, well, not at the very end, but on the 18th, I'm going to go back through and I'm going to check each person's score against their third quarter score. And if the third quarter score is higher, that's the score I'm going to give you. So bear that in mind, but you have plenty of time to start getting the rest of this finished. If you haven't started it, work on it. Each of these tests helps you become a stronger math student. Okay, so today we're working on special right triangles, and there are two types of special right triangles. We've sort of danced around this. We talked about right triangles. We went over the fact that you can use the Pythagorean theorem with a right triangle, and you could do that with this one here. So C would be your hypotenuse, which is the side across from the right angle. So 2S here would be the hypotenuse. That would be your C, and then S over here would be your that would be your A, and down here S square root of 3 would be your B. So you could use that theorem if you wanted to, but sometimes when you have angles that tell you that you've got a special kind of a triangle here, it's better to use the special properties of right triangles. And conveniently, I've written them here for you. So here is the 30, 60, 90 degree triangle rule. The length of the longer leg. So when we're talking about longer legs, remember that this side that says 2S is the hypotenuse. That's not the longer leg. It would be this one down here at the bottom. So you got a short leg, you have a long leg, and you have a hypotenuse. That's always the same with these. So the length of the longer leg is square root of 3 times the length of the shorter leg. So the shorter leg is S. So if you just took S and you multiplied it times the square root of 3, that would be the equivalent of the length of the longer leg. Now these are proportions. So you'll notice then that the length of the hypotenuse is 2 times the length of the shortest leg. So if you know the length of the shortest leg and you double that, you know what the hypotenuse is. If you know the length of the shorter leg and you multiply that times the square root of 3, then you know what that length is. So that gives you some idea of what you're doing here. All right, so that's the basic rule. Now we're going to apply it. And oh yes, don't forget, if you're dealing with triangles, sometimes it's best to put them on a grid. But you can use the other side if you want. Just make sure you're using this because it helps you to be accurate. And if you don't want to be frustrated and find your score going down because you keep making mistakes, use these aids. Use your graphing calculator. Take your time. Come back to it as often as you need to. You've got time still to do this work. So please follow through. All right, so here's an example now of a 30, 60, 90 degree triangle. And they want you to find the measure of U. So U is this short leg on the 30, 60, 90 degree triangle. And of course, I know it's 30, 60, 90 degrees because Here's an angle that's 30 degrees, here's an angle that's 60 degrees, and of course whenever you see this little square in the corner, it's a 90-degree triangle. So we want to write this in simplest radical form. So in other words, as simple as we can make it. Sometimes we do have to leave it with a radical. Let's see what we do here. Okay, I'm going to put this over here on the side for a moment. So we're going to use the length of the hypotenuse, and the hypotenuse, you'll see why, to find the length of the shorter leg, because that shorter leg is u. So the hypotenuse, they give it to you. It's 12 meters. So if you remember what the rule is that the hypotenuse is twice the shorter leg. Well, the shorter leg we just know is u. So 2 times u has to equal the hypotenuse, which is 12. 2 times u equals 12. So there we have it written here. And then if you just simply divide both sides by 2, what's 12 divided by 2? It's 6. So that's the way that you find the measure of u here. It's just simply half of the hypotenuse. Okay? Don't get too twisted up over the algebra. If you're having trouble with the algebra, just remember that u, or the short leg, is always half of the long leg. The long leg is twice the shorter leg. All right? Okay. So if you get this leg over here and they're asking you the question on it and this leg is not named, remember that that is whatever u is times the square root of 3. So if you know that u now is 6, you could multiply 6 times the square root of 3, and that would be the length of this line up here. But they aren't asking that. They are only asking you what u is. Okay? All right. And so then the next problem, next example, we're going to find the measure of the following 30, 60, 90 degree triangle. We want to find the measure of D. So we look at it. D is the short leg. Oh, okay. So remember that if you go back and you look at your rule, the rule says that, see if I've got it here in front of me, that the length of the longer side, the longer leg, well, let's use the hypotenuse. The length of the hypotenuse is 2 times the length of the shorter leg. So we've got the hypotenuse and the shorter leg. Hypotenuse is 2 times the length of the shorter leg. So all I have to do is 2 times d, 2 times the shorter length, equals 4, right? So divide by 2, d has to equal 2. And think about it, again, don't get too twisted up with the algebra. The hypotenuse is always twice the short leg. If it's twice the short leg, just take that number for the hypotenuse, divide by 2, and you get the answer 2. Okay? All right. We're going to next take a look at 45, 45, 90 degree triangles. Now this is the second of 2 types of special right triangles. There are the only 2 we're covering. And so if you look at this one, you'll notice that these 2 sides are 45 degrees. They don't show you what these 2 angles are 45 degrees. They don't show you what these 2 sides, the A and B sides, are, but they do tell you that the hypotenuse is s square root of 2. Now, if you turn this picture and you look at it, what you're going to find is that these are base angles. And it just so happens that they're joined up here at a 90 degree angle. But whenever you have base angles, the reverse of the isosceles triangle theorem, which we just covered, would tell you that these 2 sides have to be the same. If the base angles are the same, the 2 sides are the same length. Okay? So that's just a tip. Now, we're really more concerned right now with specifically this example here. So in this one, they want us to find the measure of V in this 45, 45, 90 degree triangle. So V is one of the two legs. And what we said was, okay, the base angles are the same, therefore the two sides are the same. Two sides are congruent. Okay? So we know only this base length. It's 2 times the square root of 2. Okay? So what's the rule? Go back to 45, 45, 90-degree triangle. It says the length of the hypotenuse is the square root of 2 times the length of the leg. So if the length of the leg is unknown, so let's just use V, it's V times the square root of 2. Well, but look at this. They show you that this is that the side over here, the hypotenuse, is 2 square root of 2. So the sides are whatever, it's that length, and then this is that length times the square root of 2. So each of these two sides has got to be 2. All right, so let's just look at the rule. So we're gonna, the hypotenuse is square root of 2 times the leg. So we know that 2 square root of 2 equals 2 times, or square root of 2 times V. Solve for V. So what do? You divide by both sides by the square root of 2, and that conveniently gets rid of the square root of 2 on each side, and you find out that 2 equals V. Okay? All right. So that's all it is. Now, I would, if I were you, I would get the rules for the 30, 60, 90-degree triangle. That's this one here. And I'm sorry, the rules for the 45, 45, 90-degree triangle, which is this one here. And the rules for the 30, 60, 90-degree triangle. Stop my video here and carefully write down these sets of rules so that you can compare, and then you can do these problems. If you have these side by side written, neatly showing the type of triangle they are, you should draw the triangle and write down the rule here, and from over here you will have all the information you need. Okay? All right. So like I say, take it easy, go through this. You can do this. I know you can do this. Trust yourself. Use the skills that you've been learning with these online geometry problems, and they're following directions, using these examples, stopping and starting, drawing pictures. All of these things are the things that you need to be successful. And use, of course, the graphing calculator, and use your plastic sheet to help you out. Okay? All right, that's it for today. So you've got everything you need now for the test 2 averaged scores. Get those done. Remember, you aren't taking a special separate test. All I'm going to do at the end of the 5, once I see that you've got your numbers, I'll go ahead and enter those averaged scores. Thank you. Have a great afternoon.